All right, Shalom Israel.
Yes, Shalom.
We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Command in YAHANNA. We have been teaching this truth since 1969 that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel.
Right.
All right. Today is the Monday night history class. Right. I am Officer Maikwa. Sitting in for Officer Makakobal. Right. He is normally in charge of the Monday night history class. Right. Also on a Tuesday, we have the Brotherhood class with Officer Sowapiala. On a Wednesday is our law class with Officer Matt Kwayak. On a Thursday, right, we have online classes with General Mahaiman, which is usually broadcast from the United States, right, Harlem, New York. On a Friday, we have the Lashon Kodash, which is the Holy Tongue, right, which is the Hebrew, right, in the I.S.U.P.K under Command of YAHANNA. We read, write, and speak Hebrew, right? The ancient Hebrew, which is the Paleo Hebrew, and the Assyrian Hebrew, or what they call the modern Hebrew. Right? Also on a Saturday, we have the Sabbath service, right? Every Saturday. And that begins from 10 a.m., right? Also with Priest and Officer Yakad and Officer Sowapiala, right? And if I forgot, the Lashon Kodash on a Friday is done by Priest and Officer Yakad, right? On a Sunday is our scripture breakdown locally here in Trinidad with our camp leader, Officer Galawan, right? He is the head of the Trinidad camp locally here in Trinidad, and he does the scripture breakdown. So if you have any questions or anything like the acts, right, that is a good class to tune in and ask your questions to get the relevant answers, right?
Right.
About the scriptures and about the things that the Most High. Right. So without further ado, we will get right into it. Right. So before scripture, you go just hold Romans 15 and 4 for me, right? Right. What we're going to touch a little bit on today is idols and religion, right? And what really caused idol worship and the forming of religions, right? And the Bible laid down some good history, right, about the mind state of man and what caused him to enter into to following idols and to forming religions, right, whereby it became so bad that the men become evil on the face of the earth, right? So you could give me the Romans 15 and 4, Baba Kusha.
Come on. The book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Right. So the scripture telling us now, right, that the things written before time was written for our learning, right? And this is one of the big things in the scriptures that people miss. All right, because in the world, right, they usually give you the mindset that you must continue pressing forward and don't look back, right? Forget the past. And understand when they hear the I.S.U.P.K, on the streets talking about slavery, they tell you that gone already.
Right.
Forget that, right? But it's an important, there's an importance to why one must look back, understand? Because that is how you will understand what will befall you in the future. Understand, right? And that's a mistake all these religious leaders and churches make, right? And you will show how all that stemming up by them not looking back in the past and not looking at what their forefathers used to do, cause them to fall in idol worship and under a religion, right? And cause them to come against the Most High in wickedness, right? Because they never wanted to know the things that the Most High and to understand the records that our forefathers left for us, right? Through the Most High, right? So you can read it back from the top once more, Baba Kusha.
Can. The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Right, so it was written for our learning. The things, that's how we go learn. That's how we go learn to understand our heritage, our culture, right? The things we should do, right? How our forefathers was taught, right? By the men of the Lord and instructed on how to conduct themselves and to do the things that the Most High and the things we should follow as a people and as a nation, right? Continue.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
Right, and this is how we got hope, right? Through the patience and the comfort of the scriptures, because the scriptures now will tell you what will befall the nation. This is like a big, the scriptures is like a big, like an oracle, right? And that is how we're able to see the past, present, and future.
Right.
So we're able to see the things that we forefathers did in the past, what was correct, and even what was incorrect, right? So that we would be able to correct ourselves and for as a nation to go forward, right?
Right.
And we would even be able to understand what will befall us what is befalling us in the present. So we will be able to navigate through the things we're going through in life at present and how to deal with it and how we should conduct ourselves and how we should keep the things given to us by our forefathers holy and separate, right? And what we should do, right? At this time while we living on the face of the earth in our lives, right? And then with the future, which is the things will befall the nation, right? That's how we go understand or we will get some insight into the things which will befall us, and that will give us the hope to continue treading and fighting the fight and continue marching as soldiers for the Most High, right? Because we understand, right, our inheritance in these scriptures, right? That was the end of it. You give me Psalms 96 and 5, right? And we will start to understand now how idol worship and religion, right, is not just a simple thing, right? Because we go see some of the other nations with the different deities and stone gods and wood gods and all kind of gods that come with, right? Some serving fire, the moon, the stars, and we understand that it's not just a simple thing. It's not just about making a stone god or making a wood god. It is so simple, but we will dive a little deeper into it to understand what is really happening and what is the grievous thing behind it, right? So give Psalms 96 and 5, Bro Kusha.
Of Psalms chapter 96 and verse 5. For all the gods of nations are idols.
Right? So this is not me saying this. This is coming out from the Bible. This is Psalms 96 and 5. Right? So you can read it back from the top once more, Baba Kusha.
The book of Psalms chapter 96 and verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols.
Right, and this is what the Bible saying. The Bible saying all the gods. So when you think about just about all the different gods that we know, all the Mother Lakshmi and the Buddha and the Islam, the Kaaba stone, and just think about all. Sum up all in your mind, right? All them different gods the African have, the Egyptologists, the Ra and whatever, dog head god and whatever they have. Think about all, right? And the Most High telling you, right, that all these gods are what?
Are idols.
All these gods are idols. So which means we're not even supposed to be serving that in the first place. Right? So which means we're already doing something wrong against the Most High. Right? Continue.
But the Most High made the heavens.
But the Most High, right? But the Most High power made the heavens, right? Right? So he's showing it. He's showing it the most high power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He who create all we see,
Right.
all the things around us, right? And he's trying to tell you that the other gods of all the nations they can think about, dead.
Right.
Right? And it will win more, we will sort of understand why the Most High say that, right?
Can.
All right. From there, we jump into Ecclesiastes 25 and verse 12. Understand?
Can. Ecclesiasticus
25 and 12.
25 and 12. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25 and verse 12. The fear of the Most High is the beginning of his love.
Right. So this is an important statement, right? It said the fear of the Most High is the beginning of his love, right? Right. That is the beginning of the love of the Most High. Continue.
Can. And faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him.
And faith is the beginning of cleaving unto it, right? And we will, and I just remember what we read here. We're not going to break it down yet. We're going to remember this, right? And then you're jumping from there, going to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13. You can read from verse 1. So we will come back to the Ecclesiasticus 25 and 12 and show how all this tie up in the love of the Most High.
Can. 13 and 12. 13 and 1.
13 and 1, Babakisha, Wisdom of Solomon.
Can. The book, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 1. Surely, vain are all men by nature.
Right. So it's telling you, by nature, all men are vain. So by ourselves, without the Most High, we vain. Right? Continue.
Who are ignorant of the Most High.
Right. So by ourselves, right, without the knowledge of the Most High, we vain. We are no purpose on the earth. And understand the thing that we could do within ourselves, right, to make ourselves better or more holy, right, or more righteous than the things of the Most High, right? Without the Most High is who given us direction on the face of the earth, right? Continue.
And could not, out of the good things that are seen, know him that is, neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster.
That's right, right? And all the things we see around we, right? All the flowers and the nice rising of the sun, right? And the ocean and how a storm just form out of nowhere and as I come and wipe out a whole place. All the things we see around us, all the beautiful things and all the things we are afraid of on the earth, right? Some of us never even consider the workmaster. We never even consider the things that who created these things, who created all the birds and the fish, right? We just see it as pastime or as a normal thing, right? As if it would have always be there, right? So we never consider the workmaster, the man behind it, right? Continue.
Can. Verse 2. But deem either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of the stars, or the violent water, or the lights of heaven to be the gods which govern the world.
Right. So instead of when we see the things that the Most High create, when you watch the sunrise and the sunset and the moon and the stars and the trees and the birds and all the different creatures on the earth, and say, boy, I wonder who made this, boy. Right. Instead of we consider the person or the workmaster who make it, right? Instead we start to worship the things that the workmaster make. And as I'm going from, so it's like if somebody build a house for you, right? And it's like you thank the person, hey, yeah, thank you for building this house, boy. And as I really needed shelter, instead of do that, you start to worship the chairs and the tables inside the house.
Right.
How much aggrieved that person will be, because they'll go feel now that they bring a punishment upon you, because now I build a house for you and you serving the things inside the house. It's better like I did not give you the house in the first place, because you now make the person who created aggrieved. Understand? And it's the same thing with the Most High. He created the world. The scripture says he created the world for our sakes. The world for our sakes, meaning the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man.
Right.
Because the nation of Israel, they were supposed to be the ones in rulership on the face of the earth and giving out the Most High law on the face of the earth, right? And now he created for us, we now fall prey to it, because we now start to worship the things that are upon the face of the earth. We start to worship the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, understand? Stone, wood, right? And all different type of religion start to come out of these things, and go understand about it a little lower down as we go down, right?
So
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah. And we start to worship things like the fire and the wind, right, and the air, right? They start to worship the stars in the sky, right? And if you were able to equate them things like today, understand, when you look at the Muslims, right? This strange rock, yeah. Shalom, ya. Yeah, it's saying it live. I'm not sure. I will let Officer Makar check it for me. Right now, I'll let him check it. But yeah, man. Yeah. The Facebook. We'll just check the Facebook for me, right? Yeah, we're going to try on the Bigo page, and then go back live. Right? So
that's not it.
Yeah, we'll take it out.
How much you found?
Just go ahead and type I.S.U.P.K on the Bigo. Yeah.
Well, that's 1 second. Be open my phone.
Right. We have now technical difficulties with the Facebook. Right. So we're getting it sorted out, right?
Right. Wait right there.
No.
Estamos en incluso. Select, yeah.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah, just type in I.S.U.P.K history class.
Okay.
But men on the earth begin to worship stone gods and wood gods and fire and wind and all these kind of things, because they were ignorant about the things at the Most High, right? The things the Most High create on the earth, yeah, to water. Baba Kusha. All right, you should check it. You could check it on your phone and see if it.
Yeah, I will use your phone and check.
Yeah, but I believe that that should be it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Come on.
Yeah.
Because this phone here, I'm not sure if this phone will pick up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
To water.
Okay. Come on. Okay.
Right, so I believe we now back up on the Facebook channel, right? So you could check out I.S.U.P.K Trinidad and Tobago Facebook, right, and I.S.U.P.K Trinidad and Tobago YouTube, right, to get the channel live on the internet, right? Right. So we're going back from Wisdom of Solomon, right? We're going back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, and we're going to verse 3, Baba Kusha.
Come. 13 and verse 3. The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 3.
Yeah, well.
With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods.
Right. So what happened to the men upon the face of the earth, right? the beauty of these things, right? They were amazed by it and they take it to be gold, right? So, and men and the own ego and wanting to understand how the sun works and how the moon works and different things like that, they begin to worship these things. They begin to worship and wind, right? And coming up with all kind of strange doctrine, right? So they begin to worship them as if these things are gods when they were not, right? They were no better than you. Go ahead.
Let them know how much better the Most High is of the Salakia. Let them know how much better the Most High is of them. The Most High is Salakia, better the Lord. The Lord of them is.
That's right. So what they're saying is, right? What they didn't understand is that the Most High power better than that.
Right.
And that's not wrong, because if he could create the sun and the moon and the air and massive storm and tornado and causing and making earthquake, cause destruction to all kind of places, he is greater than that.
Right.
And that's where they fail to understand. And this is the things that our forefathers, the forefathers of the black, the Hispanic and the Native Indian man, our forefathers understood these things. And that is why they never worshipped the things upon the earth, and they knew to worship the work master, the man who made these things, right? This was their power, right? The Most High power, right? Well,
for the first author of beauty had created them.
Right? And that's right. The Most High is the first author of beauty.
Right.
So before we could call anything beautiful, he know what that was.
Right.
Understand? We don't know what that is. Understand? But he had to show us that. Go ahead.
Verse 4. But if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them.
That's right. Understand? And if you understand the power and the greatness and the magnitude, a storm will pass and liquid 4 or 5 islands and flatten them down to nothing. Understand? Years, men take the whole lifetime to build a house, understand, and develop it and bring it to where it is. And in one night, understand? If you live in the Caribbean, you will understand that in one night everything gone, it will disappear. Understand? One flood will come and flood you out and wipe you out and make it disappear. And it return back to nothing. And that is the power the Most High have, right? Right? And what I didn't understand is that the Most High even more powerful than these things.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
Verse 5. For by the greatness and beauty of the creatures proportionably the maker of them is seen.
That's right. So when you watch all the things the Most High make, the creatures on the earth, men as well as beasts on the face of the earth, and you can understand, it's time to understand the mind of the Most High. Because when you start to understand the truth and you realize with now, the Most High had to separate people on the face of the earth. And he divided the nations. And not with Christianity tell us that everybody God love everybody and everybody lump up in one and we together. The Most High never make that. The Most High dealt in separation. He made everybody for a specific purpose. And these were they didn't tell us. And the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man's purpose on the face of the earth was to rule. Right? And when they begin to understand these things, they now are trying to understand the mind of the Most High.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
Verse 6. But yet, for this they are the less to be blamed. For they peradventure error, seeking the Most High and desirous to find him.
Right. So Solomon saying, right, the could right be less to be blamed because of the error, because maybe they were just desirous to find the Most High. That's what we're saying, right? But continue.
Verse 7. For being conversant in his works, they search him diligently.
And that's what people that say, right? But they say, I just search for the Most High, you understand? I always talking things biblical. When you go on the street, people will be telling you that, you understand? And we saying, but I just try hard and this and that, right? Go ahead.
And believe their sight.
Continue.
Because the things are beautiful that are seen.
Right. And they believe the sight. Because when you watch and people watch, hey, the pyramid, boy, amazing. You understand where I'm from? Right? They started watch all these landmarks left, right, by the forefathers before us, and they're amazed, right, at the things they did and how it become. right? And this consume them now, you understand? The things consume them, right? But not seeking after the Most High, that never lay on the mind, right? Continue.
Can. Howbeit, neither are they to be pardoned.
Right? But then Solomon say no, but nevertheless, understand? Right? The can't be pardoned. So you can't say, well, Lord, I was really zealous behind you, and I get caught up in Egyptology because the pyramid was amazing.
Right.
Understand? And this is why, right? Go ahead.
Can. Verse 9. For if they were able to know so much that they could aim at the world, how did they not sooner find out the Most High thereof?
That's right. And that's where I'm coming from. So then now, if you could invest so much time to understand how the sun does work,
right,
how the moon does work, what kind of machinery they use to build the pyramid, you understand? You spend your whole life, understand, looking up storms,
right,
and how storms activate and what does form a tornado, and what direction the wind. You spend your whole life doing that.
Yeah.
Well,
come on, trying to go on the moon.
That's right. Trying to go on the or going on the moon. And that's where I'm coming from, right? You're going and set up space station all on the edge of space, right? You're trying to do all things, right? And read back the scripture one more time, Baba Kisha.
Can. For if they were able to know so much that they could aim at the world, how did they not sooner find out the Most High power thereof?
And this is what you're saying, right? After you learn all these things, right? You never come to the conclusion, but boy, it probably have a goal. Because all the things you're saying, no man could make these things. No man could do these things. Understand? Nobody could lay claim on making the sun.
Right.
Or making it shine, or making it set. Understand where I come from? No man could venture close to it. Understand? Right? No man could fully look at I watching a documentary. The documentary based on the sea, right? And the documentary was filmed in February 2020, which is this year. Right? And the documentary stating, and these things people just miss. Documentary stating that they only discover 20% of the ocean. Watch how long men living on the face of the earth.
Right.
And in the year 2020, 20% of the ocean discovered. That's sad. You understand where I'm from? And we still can't say, well, it has somebody behind this.
Right.
You understand? Because no man, that depths, men can't even go beyond. They don't know what they're. You understand where I'm from? You came in the earth and meet these things there, and yet still they never acknowledge the workmaster. You understand? And that is why the scripture, when the scripture starts in verse 1, it says men are vain by nature because they're ignorant of the things of the Most High. All right?
Okay.
Continue.
Verse 10. But miserable are they, and in dead things is their hope, who call them gods.
Right. So they become miserable. And that is what us have people like today, jumping from church to church, religion to religion, because you're miserable. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Them things dead. Right? It has no life in it. So every time you feel like you hold on to something, it ain't working out for you.
Right.
I had to jump somewhere else because these things dead. Understand? It have no life in that. It have no life in a religion. It have no life in Egyptology or being a Muslim. These things dead. Right? So man, go ahead.
Who call them gods, which are the works of men's hands.
Right? And the things they call gods is actually works a man make it. A man had to go down in the mud or go and cut trees, right? Or hew stones to make these things. These things were men. Right? Go ahead.
Gold and silver, to shewn art and resemblances of beasts, or a stone good for nothing, the work of an ancient hand.
Right? And he's telling you now, these will be started do. We started making resemblance of beasts, right? And if you want to bring it to modern, when you watch Hinduism today, the elephant,
right?
Understand? And all kind of monkey, right? They started make the images of beasts, right? Right? And they started make stone. For the Muslim is the Kaaba stone. Understand? They say the stone fall out of space and drop on the earth, and they begin to worship that. You understand where I'm from? Right? Because they're ignorant of the things of God. They don't know the things of God, right?
Right.
And the Most High telling you, them things good for nothing. We telling you, you will waste your time And Solomon trying to explain to you beforehand, he telling you, hey, I study this, and what I explain to you is that they're going to waste your time going behind these things. So what he's doing is he's saving you the pain, and as of discovering it for yourself, because you're going to discover it, and when it's 96 and you can't do nothing for yourself, then you go realize, wait, now I waste my life behind these things. So you're giving you warning in advance, and that is why the things written before is important for us to learn from, right? And then now, so it says good for nothing, and is the work of ancient hands. And every religion man fighting behind is something that somebody make in the past. And that's where I'm from. Somebody come up with some Anubis, or some god on a calendar, some kind of thing, right? And it's with forefathers, right, of old times, right? And the had us to warn us about the things that the men in this world, right, would create. And if we blend into that, we will pick up these evil works, right, and evil traditions among our people, right? Continue.
Verse 11. Now a carpenter that felleth timber after he had sawn down a tree met for the purpose, and taken off all the bark skillfully round about.
Right. So he's telling about the work of a carpenter, right? So the carpenter cut a tree, right, and he started to prepare, right, for the purpose to make something, right? Go ahead.
And had wrought it handsomely, and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life.
Right. So he cut the tree and he made the tree into something that fit for to serve man. Right. So he might build a house out of it, or he might make a boat to go fishing. Right. Yeah. And all the prepare both the cut the log and the dig out the middle of the log and they make canoe, or some of them make the bigger boats where they strip it into lumber and build boats, right? Bigger boats out of it, right? So the wood now from the tree serving a purpose to man, right? Go ahead.
And after spending the refuse of his work to dress his meat, had filled himself.
Right. So then now the refuse, right, or the work, the refuse of the work is the material leave over after he shape out the boat out of the tree, it would remain. Right? Them is the parts that you can use to make the boat. So they say now he use it to dress the meat, right? He not putting the wood on the meat. We doing, he make a fire and he go roast the meat out of that, right? And that is how we go prepare food to eat, right? So the food become, the refuse of the tree become fuel, right? To cook and to do whatever else you need to do, right? To make heat or whatever. Go ahead.
And taking the very refuse among those which serve to no use, being a crooked piece of wood and full of nuts, and carved it diligently.
Right. So then now, there are other pieces of the wood, right? That crooked and full of nuts, right? And anybody would cut down tree or know about lumber making it a part of the wood you can't use because it's just too bent up.
Right.
And understand it? So you can't use it to make boat or to make lumber or whatever. So that remain. But then they say now, this man take it and carve it diligently, right? Go ahead.
When he had nothing else to do.
When he had what?
Nothing else to do.
When he had what?
Nothing else to do.
So he started to do this in his spare time.
Right.
He become idle, and that's why idleness is a dangerous thing. You understand? Because most of these things is done in idleness.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
And formed it by the skill of his understanding, and fashioned it to the image of a man.
Right. So and any time when he had nothing else to do, right, he formed it by the skill of his understanding, because remember he understand carpentry.
Right.
So he knows to carve and how to smooth out and how to shape things, right? Right. And he fashioned it in the image of a man. Right. So he make a figure, right, out of this wood, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
Or made it like some vile beast.
Or you can make it like a beast, right? Like an animal. Some animal you see, some a snake, a cow, a goat, whatever, right? Go ahead.
Laying it over with vermilion, and with paint coloring it red.
Right. And vermilion is also like a paint, like something stain wood, like wood stain.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
And covering every spot therein.
And he covered the whole thing, so he painted, right? So it was wood. He carved it out, make it into the image of a man or a beast, and now he paint it, right? Go ahead.
And when he had made a convenient room for it, set it in a wall, and made it fast with iron.
So all of a sudden, it moved from the tree, idleness, make him carve out this,
Right.
right? He make it into the image of a man or a beast. He paint it. Remember, the whole cycle is he do everything.
Right.
And now we bring it in the house. Choose a room for it, right? You have a special room. We go hang it up, and now he fasten it on the wall with iron, so it can't come off, right? Go ahead.
For he provided for it that it might not fall.
Right? And he do what?
Provided for it that it might not fall.
So he started providing for it now. So now the same wood that was in service for man, he started serve the wood. Because the wood was to make vessels and to make trees.
Right.
The wood was serving a purpose. Now you start to serve the very thing. Understand that the Most High creates. Right? Because you take it in your house now and turning it into a god. And then the Woody scriptures, or with Solomon trying to show you through the scriptures, is showing you the process. Right? How this a simple thing with a man with the idleness, turning this into a god, right? Go ahead.
Knowing that it was unable to help himself, for it is an image and had need of help.
That's right. For it was an image and it couldn't do nothing for itself.
Right.
So in other words, what we're saying is these idols can't do nothing for themselves, and man have to do everything for it. And that's where I'm coming from, because it's dead. It have no power behind these things. And that's where people don't understand today. And that's where I'm coming from. You're worshiping white Jesus, right? And carve a stone. And as an Egypt, all them statue and all kind of thing, the car do nothing for you.
Right.
And as I'm coming from, when they rent you, the car pay your rent for you. And I can't, you understand? Right? The car protect your children from police brutality, or from AIDS, or from syphilis, or from abortion.
Right.
These things is just stone or wood, it's dead. Right? Continue.
Verse 17. Then maketh he pray for his goods. So like then maketh he pray for his goods.
So after you take it now and you set it up in your house, you're praying, right? For your goods, meaning you're praying for goodness for the household, your blessings, right? From the same word you just make that yesterday, and now you're asking for blessings from the same word that you just carved out. You know you just carved out that. Understand? And that is the craziness that this world, right, could enter if you don't have the guidance and the knowledge of the Most High. Right? Go ahead.
For his wife and children, and not ashamed to speak to that which hath no life.
Right? And he also praying. So he make prayer for goods. So he want to bless the household, he want to bless the wife and the children, right? And he not ashamed to speak to that which has no life. So this dead, and he imagine he asking for protection for your wife and the children from a piece of wood you just carved yesterday. You understand? Which was the refuse at the tree.
Right.
The crooked pieces of the tree is where you used to make an idol, right? Continue.
For health, he called upon that which is weak.
So and he asked him for health, and understand, for good health, when the wood can't do nothing for him. Understand? This cannot nothing, they're not making him any better,
right,
or any healthier. Alright, go ahead.
For life prayeth to that which is dead. For aid humbly beseecheth that which had least means to help.
Right. Understand? So it's a life praying to death. Something alive praying to something dead. Understand? And that to show you how backwards we become. Understand? Right? And making the Most High had to see this ridiculousness upon the face of the earth. After he created a man, understand, give him life and give him good understanding, the things he should do and follow. Now he's serving dead things upon the face of the earth, right? And aid, you use the aid because you're able to move around, you're able to help, you able to do things. And now you ask for help from something that can't do nothing for you.
Right.
And understand? You become opposite. And understand? You become against the Most High because he never make you for that, right?
Right.
Continue.
And for a good journey, he asketh of that which cannot set a foot forward.
That's right. And when you're going out, you asking for protection, you asking for Lord, praying to the stand, asking for you to protect you along the way, to save you from wild beasts. And what kind of accident that could happen on the way. You pray to a piece of wood. You put your trust in a piece of wood.
Right.
And this just the most I just showing you here how ridiculous it is. He's showing you ridiculousness. That is what he's doing here. You understand? So when we sit back like today and we watch around and we watch Christianity, we're holding up the white Jesus and they make that can't do nothing for you. The statue and this piece of wood, that cannot do anything for you.
Right.
And you place your trust in this and going on the nation highway with madmen driving. And that's where I come from. Praying for protection for your family. That is why your family gain HIV and AIDS and syphilis and gout and cancer.
Right.
Because these things cannot help you. Understand? And you're leading your entire family down to destruction.
Right.
Understand? You walk along a cover stone and they don't even tell you that thousands of people die around the cover stone by trampling. You understand? Right? What kind of love you could have for your people? Understand? By me deciding to go to Hajj and walk on that stone, I'm wicked. And the reason why I'm wicked is because I go in there and I trampling my brother and he dying. You understand where I'm coming from? And I pay him to go next year again to kill more people. That is wickedness. You understand where I'm coming from? That heights of wickedness. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 19. And for gaining and getting, and for good success of his hands, asketh ability to do of him that is most unable to do anything.
And they're asking the piece of wood for good success. That you just pray that. You understand? Now you're asking for good success. I know you're asking it here. I know you're asking it, right? For the ability for good success and of his hands. You just shape all the wood. And now you're for better ability with your hands.
Right.
You're nuts. You understand? That is the definition of insanity. You understand? You're a madman walking the face of the earth. And that is what the Most High trying to show us. You understand? And that is when we walk away from the things of the Most High, right? We're going to chapter 4, next chapter about
Verse 14. Again, one preparing himself to sail.
So now we gain here another example. So he emphasizing, he making sure you get in your mind how mad he is when they started worship idols or man-made gods, right? Go ahead.
And about to pass through the raging waves.
Right. He said to sail. So you're about to go on the sea, right? And he preparing to go through the raging waves. He preparing to face the ocean, right?
Called it upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carried him.
And now he calling on a piece of wood, right? We carve, right? More rotten because it's old than the vessel that carried it.
Right.
You understand? He didn't even trust in the boat. He trusted in this piece of wood that he carved out and calling it God.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? A stone in Mecca. You calling on and then jumping in an airline, a metal tube with 2 engine propeller on the side to fly across the ocean to come back home. You understand? And saying you will reach safe. You trusted in Caesar Borgia, understand? The son of Pope Alexander VI, a homosexual, understand? To keep you safe so that you could fly from one country to the next,
right.
Or you could go to work in peace and come back home in safety. Understand? You're calling on a stone shaped like a monkey. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Burn up that other given milk. Understand? For your safety while you go through your daily life or to bless your family. We have to be mad. Understand? This earth, I want to say the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Right. It's madness. And when you watch Esau that run down every hidden god you can think about, Esau in it. Understand? Esau is an African, Esau is an Egyptologist, Esau is a Hindu, right. Esau is a Christian, he's a Mormon. All you can think about, Esau in every single face of the earth. And all is and all these hidden religions. Going off some car. That's right. You understand? That is why he's calling me devil the Bible speaks of. You understand where I'm from? Because what Solomon showing here, when you sit down and read this, you understand how mad these people is. Right. How much a devil these people is. You understand? Because you just shape out something. Right? And now you trusting in this for your safety. Right. you must be a madman. And that's where I'm coming from, right? And the Most High never make you to be that kind of person. And and that is why when they read scriptures and they tell you don't make marriages with them or do join with these other nations, this is why they're telling you this. You understand? Because these people, they have no sense. You understand? Because they don't understand the things of the Most High, they will forever make grievous mistakes.
Right.
Understand? And they will face the punishment for it. Right? Continue.
Verse 2. For verily, desire of gain divides that, and the workman built his skill.
Right? So everybody will desire gain. They want to worship this God for money and for prosperity and all kind of thing. And the workman is who build it by skill. You understand? He is a craftsman. He knows how to shape and how to make things. And that's where I'm coming from. And he had the ability to shape things in any image he liked. Right? So they decide to make it into a beast or to a man.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
Verse 3. But thy providence, O Father, governeth it. For thou hast made a way in the sea and a safe path in the waves.
Right? Because the Most High is who govern the sea. He is who created it. And he could direct it through the sea.
Right.
Understand? Where your eyes can't see. And the dangers you can't foretell, you will make you pass around these things.
Right.
And escape these things, right? Go ahead.
Showing that thou canst save from all danger.
He could do what?
Save from all danger.
That's what people don't understand about the Most High power. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel, could save you from all danger. And the reason why he could save from all danger because he is a living God.
Right.
Understand? And he said the gods of the nations are dead. That is the difference. That's a big difference. One could save you because he's a living God. You understand and you knowing what's going on. Right? And the other don't know what the hell is going on. It can't move, it's stone. It cannot help you. Right? Continue.
Yea, though a man went to sea without arts.
And he say, you know, even a man, right, could get saved without from all danger, even though he went to sea without arts.
Right.
He didn't necessarily have the skill, understand, to read the directions or to read the waves, but yet still through the Most High he could escape danger. Right? Continue.
The things that I can't see.
Yeah, and that's where I come from.
Did he work hard?
No, you understand? He didn't know no what God or no stone God with him. You understand where I come from? Right? He didn't know no idols with him.
Right.
And that's where I come from. And he could escape danger because of the power of the Most High. Right? Go ahead.
Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle.
Right? So he said, nevertheless, thou wouldest not the works of thy wisdom should be idle. Continue.
And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood.
Right? So your wisdom become idle and you commit because you're not using it. Understand? A day for you to use and you're not using it. So it become idle and you commit your life onto a piece of wood. Right? Continue.
And passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved.
Right? And passing it, actually the most like any boat you think about now, metal, iron, right? Any boat, no matter the material they make of, could sink. And as could be destroyed. And as the Titanic sink. And as come from, it could be destroyed utterly. And understand? So it's weak. Right? But yet still a man could go through the waves safely. And even if you're in a raft. You understand? Right? Yeah. Go ahead.
For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped in a weak vessel.
That's right. And understand the proud giants don't mean 12-foot men walking the earth, but men who was in rulership at that time. Right? And the world would escape because some of these men was wicked as hell. And even though in these times we was not in power, right? We could still escape, right? Because of the power of the Most High. Continue.
And left to all ages a seed of generation.
And we were still able to leave a seed of generation, so we people still live on. And as I come from, even though wicked men was ruling the earth at that time, that the power of the Most High. Continue.
Can't say, I guess I bring another that heavy because you might bring another scripture they showing, as I mentioned, when destruction fall upon the earth in a weak vessel, which is the ark, you know what I mean? The Most High saved that seed, that generation as they're talking about it.
That's right, like Abraham. Right. I feel it.
And so like Noah.
So like Noah. Yeah. You understand? Right? Because 8 of them were saved from the flood, right? Continue.
Verse 7. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well, Salakia, as well it, as he that made it.
Right, so that was made by hands, and it's cursed, and also he that make it, right? Because you're leading yourself unto destruction, right? You create this man-made God, right? Continue.
Made it, he because he made it, and it because being corruptible, it was called God.
Right, and understand? These things dead. It corruptible. It will eventually fade away. Right? The Most High was there in the beginning, and he will be there in the end. And the eternal beginning and end for the Most High, right? Well,
for the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike and hateful unto the Most High power.
The what? The ungodly
and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High power.
And Christians will say that God hate the sin but love the sinner.
Right.
And that's where I'm coming from, right? And here it's saying what? The Most High, he do like the ungodly,
right,
and his ungodliness.
Right.
And that's where I'm coming from, because you want to repent from your ways. You want to change. And that's why you don't want to stay that way. Right? Continue.
Verse 10. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it.
That's right. And understand? So that was made, the thing made, and the thing which made it will be punished together.
Right.
And understand? So I just can't come up with the desire to craft some god or build some statue, right, and decide to worship it and not expect to be punished.
Right.
You understand? You should expect to get cancer.
Right.
Right? And you should expect to get some strange disease or some calamity fall upon you because you're worshiping an idol.
Right.
Right? Continue.
Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation.
That's right. And it says, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall be a visited, destruction will come to them. Right? Continue.
Because in the creature of the Most High power, they are become an abomination.
That's right. Understand? All the men of the earth, right? You become an abomination on the face of the earth. Understand? Because you decide to make your own gods, right? And serve the wind and the fire and the stone, and you're getting punished by nature because you will not do the correct things.
Right.
So understand? So you automatically fallen in punishment. Understand? So it's like your father tell you do go outside bare feet, right? Because he already know when you go bare feet, it is a high probability things will choke you underneath your feet.
Right.
Right? But you not wanting to follow that law he laid down, you go outside bare feet, and next thing you know, you get choked underneath your foot.
Right.
Right? Understand? And this is the Most High telling you. You make a false God, expect these things to happen.
That's right.
And it's not like he put in that. He trying to warn you before you go and do it. You understand? You push your hand in fire, expect to be burned.
Right.
Right? Continue.
And stumbling block to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise.
And it become a stumbling block to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. Because the men who do have knowledge, they will just follow in it and do all the things, and you're blind.
Right.
You understand where I'm coming from? And so other men, it become a stumbling block, because now it become a debate.
Right.
You understand? Just like how people debate in Egyptology and Wapian and all these strange religion, it become a stumbling block to you. You can't find the truth. You understand where I'm coming from? It become a veil over your eyes, right? Because you're seeing the things on the earth, and you're not seeing the workmaster behind it, right? Continue.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
Right? And they say now, the making an idol is the beginning. This is how spiritual fornication begin, by idol worship, right? So when you hear about spiritual fornication, this is how it begins. Continue.
And the invention of them, the corruption of life.
And the invention of them, when they started create this on the face of the earth, life become corrupt. And this is an important part here, right? Because and we will lead up to it when we go down a little more, right? They say the invention of them is the corruption of life. This where life start to go off, right? Because once you decide to, yeah, correct.
All right, come on, 13. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever.
That's right. I understand. And in the beginning, our forefathers never know about that. Never know about idol worship and carving God and stone God and this God and that God. That was never we culture. It was never the culture of the black man, the Hispanic man, or the Native Indian man. That was never in we culture.
Right.
Understand? We never know about no Christian cross, no carved stone, no Buddha. No Krishna and what and what's called this? Like the Rasta one, the Rasta Hindu. Kali, or whatever that's called it, right? We never know about them things. All them Rasta man growing dread and all these kind of things. We never know about these kind of things. And that's where I come from, because we never had the culture of creating gods from the things of the earth. Because we know our power is the power that created the earth. Right? Continue.
Verse 14. For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
That's right. So through the vain glory of men, right, they enter into the world. And remember in the beginning of 13, say, surely vain are all men by nature.
Right.
Understand? So for who are ignorant of the things of God. So because we were ignorant of the things of God, these things enter into the world. Right? And but it's say no, it will shortly come to an end. It wouldn't last. And that is what we got to understand. These religions and doctrines and philosophies is not going to last, right? And that's the thing about the I.S.U.P.K under command in YAHANNA. Understand? Because we teach this truth about the Bible, the truth about the Bible, right? We just watching all these things falling day after day, night after night, because it already prophesied that it's not going to last. Right? Continue.
For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he had made an image of his child soon taken away, now honored him as a god.
Right. So it's showing now. Remember, they was making idols, right? Carving stone and wood and thing and praying to it. Now it started change, right? So it's saying now a father afflicted with untimely mourning, right? When he had made an image of his child soon taken away. So his child dead, right? So he mourning. But in the morning now, you create an image of a dead child, right? Continue.
So like yes, and you always say now even doing like the history and Christmas and all of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And all the holidays we are now, right? We coming up to it. Go ahead. You can read back from now honor them to be a god.
All right, now honor him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
Right. And now this dead man's son, right? The dead man was then a dead man, so the man's son dead, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. So it become a religion.
Right.
You understand? So one man dead son become a religion. Right? Go ahead.
Thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong.
That's right. So that way, an ungodly custom, it becomes strong. So over time, and just like I was saying, with Christmas and Easter, right, and all these pagan religions, right, dead, right. They're just like Nimrod, right, and the tree was representing Nimrod.
Right.
Now when I look at it today, we don't look at it the same way, right? So over time, it started to become strong.
That's right.
Right? Because when a man, but I didn't know Nimrod, you man, I can make him into a tree. That ridiculousness. And it will start off like that, right?
Right.
But then now, over time, when them people die out and the next set of people grow up, they merge in a tree and it started grow up again, and it moved from that to Christmas.
Right.
And then it started celebrating Christmas. So it started celebrating Halloween or Easter. Right? The god Astarte or whatever else call it. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? And all these gods come up on the rise now, and they don't know how it become this holiday. But they only know you're born on the earth celebrating this holiday.
Right.
And that is why, like when we start off, we say the things are for time written for we learning. That is why we need to go back and watch all what we forefathers used to do and all what they did not used to do.
Right.
And then we will know what we're supposed to do today.
Right.
Right? And leading on into the future. You understand where I come from? So these things now begin to come strong, right? It begin to hold strong because now men on the earth begin to believe it because they make ceremonies out of it, right?
Right.
Continue.
And graven images were Salakia. Thus, in the process of time, an ungodly custom whose strong was kept as a law.
Right? And now they begin to keep it as a law. Understand? So now they tell you every Sunday you have to come to church. It become a law now. Understand? And it's not the most high law, it become an earthly law.
Right.
Right? That men on the earth begin to follow, right? Continue.
And graven images were worshipped by the commandments of the kings.
That's right. And
kings.
And kings on the earth now begin to command that people come to these ceremonies. So they're commanded to be a Catholic, to be this. So now the people now forced to follow in these traditions, these pagan traditions, right? So it begin to take a strong religion, just like Christianity, right? Because Christianity, as we know it now, we go see well, I free to worship. Why I want to worship Christians saying that, but the Christians used to kill in the name of the king. That is how the religion becomes strong, right? The decree of the king make the religion strong. Go over when the king make a decree and he say go to the Caribbean and convert the native Indians to Christianity. That was a decree from the king.
Right.
You understand? And now it becomes strong. You understand? Go ahead.
Whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off.
Right? And some of them dwell far off. Right? Understand? Because sometimes the image that they make is of a man, he's dead, so they're far off, right? But this is what they do. Continue.
They took the counterfeit of his visage
right? So
from far.
So they take the counterfeit of his visage. And one classic example that we know today, and the biggest example is Christianity.
Right.
You understand? And Caesar Borgia. Understand? Caesar Borgia not here with you today, but they take the counterfeit of his image. Now they're painting white Jesus. Right? All over, all churches, all different houses have this picture stick up in the house as Christ. Right? Understand? When the description of Christ in the Bible is something totally different.
Right.
Understand? Right? And this is how they begin to penetrate the houses of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, all through slavery. You understand? Everybody holding on to this image because that's all they know. Right? Continue.
And made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatten him that was absent, as if he was present.
Right. So they made the image, right, that they might flatter him as if he was present. So they're holding this image there, and people bowing and crying and rolling on the ground, kissing it in flattery, as if the person was actually there. When that is just a big stone, right? That is just a image. You understand? Right? And sadly, people go on for this for years in their whole life and die in a religion. Right? Continue.
Also, the singular diligence of the artificer did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition.
Right? And the diligence of the artificer is the craftsman. Right? And because he diligent at the work, right, he began to make it better. Right? So like if it was like the old, it wasn't like when they announced that the Caesar Borgia painting of the white Jesus.
Right.
It was an image, but it was messy. Right? But then now the artificer began to perfect it.
Yeah.
So when it was the images from that time when they create the Caesar Borgia image, the images now is more crafty and more clean. understand, and more to suit the masses.
Yeah.
So they'll make it effeminate, that is nice, the eyes, understand, and they will try to make a smooth face,
Right.
get the image, they're trying to perfect the image to the point where it's appealing to the masses, right? Go ahead.
Right, can.
Yeah. You want to say something?
Oh, I was just saying, you know, at the beginning, I was saying, like, you know, he olive colored man.
That's right. Yeah, change it, the skin color, the texture.
Yeah.
You understand where I come from? Right? The hair, you understand, and make it as best as appealing to the masses as possible. And that is because of the artificer.
Right.
Because he decided to put diligence into it, right? And it's, you know, right? To set forward the ignorance and more superstition.
Right.
So now because the image being perfected, people don't want it. They don't want to let go. You love white Jesus, you love Egyptology because they're beginning to perfect it. You understand? All the remakes and all the different ancient gods, after the face bust off because it's stone. Understand? And men begin to recreate the image and make it new. Understand? So now it's appealing to the masses, right? Continue.
For he, peradventure, willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the beast.
And he will say, right, peradventure, he was willing, right, to please what? One in authority. Understand? So the artificer, by trying to gain the favor of the kings and the priests in power at that time, right? They say he forced his skill, right, to make the resemblance of the best fashion. So you want to make it the best to please the king. You understand where I'm from? And this is how idol worship graduate into religion.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? Because now they're really trying to push the best effort to keep this lie going down the line. You understand? To keep the high seat. Right? And having the masses ignorant of how these things really started, right? Continue.
And so the multitude allured by the grace of the work.
So the multitude get allured by the grace of by the work, right? By what the beauty of it, right?
Right.
And remember, the earth begin to worship the things on the earth because they say the beauty of it.
Right.
The things the Most High make, right? Continue.
Took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored.
Right? Which a little before, what people didn't care before, but now they take nothing to be a god because it begin to get more crafty and more skilled work put into these images, right?
Right.
Continue.
Verse 21. And this was an occasion to deceive the world for men, serving either calamity or tyranny.
Right? And I said it become occasion to deceive the world. So the men in charge now realize, wait now, false God is our power. Understand? Over ignorant people of the world.
Right.
And they begin to use it. Understand where I'm coming from? And this is how religion starts. They realize things about here. We could win with this. We could take people money with this because people love the image. Understand where I come from? They love the story behind the image.
Right.
Understand? And this is how a religion begin to take the face of the earth, right? And this written in the records of the scriptures. Continue.
Serving either calamity or tyranny, did ascribe unto stones and stocks the incommunicable name.
That's right. Understand? And they begin to record it on stones and on stocks. But at that time, stocks was like something you keep prisoners in. They will lock you up, and usually they will write like the whatever title over here. You understand? He's a betrayer, Bial, they're going to mark that. You understand where I'm from? And stone they'll start to record all the writings on stone. You understand? For to keep record of all the false god and things like that, right? Continue.
Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High.
Right? So let's say now it was not enough for them, right? So just erring in the knowledge of the Most High was not enough, right? Because they just didn't make a mistake in the things of the Most High.
Right.
Now you're beginning to transgress the things the Most High is saying, right? By actually doing it.
Right.
You begin to make false images, right? Go ahead.
But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance.
Right? And they're living in the and when they say ignorance is
the great war of ignorance.
That's right. And then people don't understand it in the mind. The war in the mind is ignorance. You understand? People want to keep it ignorant from the truth. From the truth about the Bible, from the truth that Christ black. You understand? From the truth that the prophets black. From the truth that God didn't come for everybody on the face of the earth. Right? That the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man is the true Jews of the Bible. That salvation is for Israel.
Right.
They want to keep it ignorant of these things. And as I come from, continue.
So, Salakia, those so great plagues called the peace.
You understand? And the great plagues, they call it peace, right? Continue.
Verse 23. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites.
So this is what they're doing, sacrifices of children, right? And secret ceremonies of revelings, right? Of strange rites, or all these pagan customs that are behind the scenes nobody know about. Go ahead.
They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled.
Right? So the life and the marriages were no longer undefiled. You understand where I'm from? Right? They begin to defile it.
Right.
They didn't care no more. You understand? It going to total lewdness. Right? Continue.
But either one slew another treacherously, or grieved him by adultery.
That's right. So if you ain't following or you ain't agree, right? A man killing you. You understand? Or or you grieving it by adultery. Adultery is a man sleeping with a next man's wife. You understand where I'm from? Right? Or a woman sleeping with a married man. You understand where I'm from? Right? So they begin to do each other wickedness, right? In these religions, right? And even as I say, lead to murder and adultery, right? So that's the evilness that begin to happen on the face of the earth, right?
Right.
And all happening, and then we have to remember all this evil happening because an idol, and move from idol worship, the idols form a religion, and evilness take the place of the earth, right? Continue.
Verse 25. So that they.
Yeah.
Verse 25. So that they reign in all men without exception. So that they reign in all men without exception blood.
Right. Right. So that they reign in all men. So all men, right? And you become wicked. You understand where I'm from? Right? You become a murderer.
Right.
You understand? Continue.
Manslaughter.
So they become murderers and manslaughters. Go ahead. That's right. 14 and 25 Wisdom of Solomon. Understand? So the men, right? The men become murderers, so they start to kill one another, right? Manslaughter, theft. Right? Continue.
And dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury.
Right? So dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, and perjury. Now think about that, right? Because normally we just think about the crimes. Right? So we just think about the adultery and murder and theft and unfaithfulness, right? And perjury, all the crimes we just think about, right? Kind of slack it. Yeah. So what? Right? All the crimes we just think about, right? But what we doesn't study is where the crime start from. Right? How we end up like this, right? And idol worship and religion have a big part to play in it, right? And when you go further along, we even clear it up even better, right? Continue. You go into verse 26 here.
Disquieting of good men.
And disquieting of what?
Of good men.
That's right. All the men who don't want to do the things you're doing or the evilness you're doing, you begin to provoke them. Right? Continue.
Forgetfulness of good terms, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery.
Right? And it's here to say, right? Defiling of souls, changing of kind. Man, okay. Man want to be man, woman want to be woman. And watch how far back the show you these things happening. Because of religion. Understand? Because they're not correcting these. The Christian pastor is a homosexual. The Christian pastor supposed to tell you, stop being a homosexual.
Right.
But they're not telling you that. They're telling you that God will accept you just the way it is, which is a lie. That is not true. Understand? That is an abomination to the Most High according to the scriptures, right? Right? So the changing of kind, the defining the soul, disorder in marriage. You understand? Women want to rule the house over the husband. Which how far is going back?
Right.
You understand where I come from? Right? All because of idol worship and religion. That's how far these things start, right? Adultery and shamelessness and uncleanness. You understand? People begin to become wicked upon the face of the earth. Right? And that is how far just crafting a piece of wood take them. Because it starts with the man who started to do it in the idleness. And what should it turn out to be? Evilness upon the face of the earth.
Right.
And that was looking like something so simple. Right? Continue.
Karen Khan. For the worshipping of idols not to be named in the beginning, the cause and the end of all evil.
Read back that again, Baba Kisha.
Karen Khan. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter
27. It's at 14 and
14
and 27.
And verse 27. For the worshipping of idols not to be named is the beginning.
Right? So you see the worship idols not to be named is the beginning of what?
The cause.
The cause
and the end.
And the end
of all evil.
That's right. Understand? And that is a big statement in the scriptures.
Right.
And understand where I come from? The worshiping of idols, all the evil you can think about, that it's stemming. Understand? Right? From people worshiping idols.
Right.
Understand? And worshiping idols is not just worshiping the piece of wood. What has happened is when it's begin to worship these images and these pieces of wood, and you worship Christianity and Caesar Borgia and Egyptology, right? You're moving away from the things of the Most High.
Right.
Right? And that way worshiping an idol become dangerous. Right? Understand? Because you're no longer following the charge of the Most High. That is no longer your wisdom. You understand? You leave the wisdom of the Most High to waste to follow this idol or this piece of wood or this piece of stone. And that is why it is the beginning and the end of all evil. Right? Continue.
For either they are mad when they be married, or prophesy lies.
Right? So either is a madman, right? And your happiness, you know how TJs come and jump up on the stage and bless this and bless that. Either you are a madman, continue.
Or prophesy lies.
Or you prophesy lies. That is what the Christian pastor does do. And the Egyptologists and the imam. Right? And all these religious leaders does prophesy lies. Go ahead.
Or live unjustly. Or else lightly forswear themselves.
That's right. Understand? And this is the evilness that comes out of idol worship. Yeah. Right? This way, that's how these evils be on the face of the earth, right? Go down to 29, Baba Kisha.
For insomuch as their trust is in idols, which have no life.
So they put a trust in idols, but the idols have no life in them, right? Go ahead.
Though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt.
Right? And though they swear falsely, right? Somehow you expect to get protection, right? Which making you a madman. You understand? Because you have a piece of wood or a piece of stone or some image hook up in your house, right? And you pray to this every day. You trust and swear falsely in this image and somehow expect to get protection from it. That is madness. That is insanity. And as I come from, the only thing you can expect from that is destruction, right? Continue.
Howbeit, for both causes shall they be justly punished.
That's right. And you will be justly punished for it. Continue.
Both because they thought not well of the High.
Because they thought not well of the Most High. You understand? You didn't care to know anything about the Most High. You become against the Most High. Continue.
Right. Giving heed unto idols.
Right? Because you view the piece of wood, stone, tree, whatever it is that you make an idol, understand? Or even a man that you decide to make an idol on the face of the earth. Because of that, right? You decide to give heed to the idols against the Most High. Continue.
And also unjustly swore in deceit.
Right? And they unjustly swore in deceit. And that's where I'm coming from, because that deception, the religious leaders, right, of this world swore, and rulers of the world swore unjustly, because they know these images not true. And so they know these images dead, but they begin to take advantage of the people on the earth.
Right.
Because they were ignorant of the Most High, right? Continue.
Despising holiness.
Right? And they're despising holiness. You're despising the things the Most High set apart for you. And that's where I come from. And they choose to follow the idleness of this world, the pagan religions of this world. Right? They choose to follow Christianity and all the different Christians on the earth. And understand, whether be it fake Israelite, Muslim, whatever, all of them is Christian. So you begin to follow the things of this world, right? Continue.
For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punisheth always the offense of the ungodly.
Right? The just vengeance of sinners, because why? It doesn't lay down what will happen to you already. So once you fall out, when they fall out of the path the Most High set you automatically, it's like an automatic transfer. You can't toe the line. You're not on the fence between good and evil. It's either you're good or you're evil. And once you fall in the evil category, all the punishments that lay down for evil doers, you will receive it. You understand where I'm from? So automatically you place yourself inside that category by following the idol worship of this world.
Right.
You understand? Right? And that is the danger of following an idol, or following something that a man just decided to craft with his hand. Also fight rich, and rich to adultery, murder, homosexuality, all the evils you could think about in the world, right? Just from a man deciding to craft an image, right? Right? The priests and them decide to use this against the people in deceit.
Right.
And stand to gain power. And that is how deadly religion and the Christian church could be over people. That is how they capture people, right? The people of this world, right? And even if you're not in a church, just by that you being ignorant of the things in this record about your forefathers, making you fall victim, understand, to all the evilness of this world.
Right.
Understand, because you can't decide the right pathway to walk on the face of this earth. Right? And they will fall victim to all these things. Right? So from there, just jump across to Proverbs 9 and 10, Babakosha.
Proverbs 9 and
10.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 10. The fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom.
So it said the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom, right? So this is the thing. When we watch the idol worship, right? The man create the idol and it leads to an entire forming of a religion, leading into evilness, all manner of evilness, right? But the main point, right, about idol worship is that it moving you away from the fear of the Lord. You understand? You no longer care about the things of the Lord, and you no longer believe that the Most High is the power behind the earth, causing you now to fall victim and to get punished by all the evils of this world, right? Because you lost the fear of the Most High, right? And read back Proverbs 9 and 10, Babakosha.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 10. The fear of God, the fear of the Most High power is the beginning of wisdom.
So when Christ died for you, understand? By me deciding, by when I think about the love Christ have for me, right? That is what making me not want to do the things that the Most High say not to do.
Right.
Understand? So that's what making me not want to eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. When I think about the sacrifice Christ make for me, that is why I'm not going to smoke weed,
right,
or I'm not going to do drugs, or I'm not going to commit adultery,
right,
because I understand the sacrifice that Christ laid for his people, right?
Right.
Because he understands that sacrifice of the brotherhood, right? Right. So the idol worship moving away from the fear of the Most High, right? So we jump in, or we jump back now to the Ecclesiasticus 25 and 12, Babakosha.
Okay.
So remember, Proverbs say the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, right? And knowledge of the holy is understanding, right?
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25 and verse 12. The fear of the Most High Power is the beginning of his love.
And Ecclesiasticus here now saying the fear of the Most High is the beginning of his love, right? And the two is basically the same.
Right.
And that's where I come from, right? But one clearing up the other. You understand? Because we are to understand is, and that what the Most High was trying to show we. When Christ come on the earth, that's what he was trying to show we. But we miss it.
Right.
You understand? Because we believe was just knowledge. You understand? And who God better.
Right.
I understand? Or even if you're serving the Most High, who more faithful,
right,
and who more righteous. You understand? So, and for some of the Pharisees, it become who are the longer fringe. It become physical.
Right.
Understand? Or who didn't break the law 10 days straight. It become a physical thing, right? And it was not just about that, right? Read back the same scripture, Babakosha, the Ecclesiasticus.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25 and verse 12. The fear of the Most High Power is the beginning of his love.
Right? And the sin of the fear of the Most High, that's where love begins. You understand? But then we fight to understand where this love is. You understand where I'm from? But that love is in fearing the Most High. When you fear the Most High, you go do the things he say to do.
Right.
So then now, if I fear the Most High, right? And that fear is supposed to make me do the things. It's like your father. It's like your father tell you. It's like when you had a respect and that fear for your father, whatever he tells you to do, you do it.
Right.
You understand where I come from? Because you understand it's just and righteous, and he wouldn't lead you to know the pathway of harm.
Right.
Right? So if I fear the Most High, right, that it telling me that is the beginning. That's how I can start to love.
Right.
Right? By fearing the Most High, right? And give me the 1 John 5 and 3.
The book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. For this is the love of the Most High Power, that we keep his commandments.
So 1 John, so we trying to clear it up, right? So it said the beginning the fear of the Most High is the beginning of love.
Right.
Right? So once a wisdom, so then we're going to get the wisdom here now, right? The other say the fear of the Most High is the beginning of love. Right? So then we try to understand the love of the Most High, right?
Right.
So then we fly down to 1 John 5 and 3, and 1 John 5 and 3 say for this is the love of God, right? That we keep his commandments. Meaning that to love God, we have to do the things he say.
Right.
To do. Right? The things he settled for we had to do and apply these things.
Right.
That is how we can love the movie. We can't hug him, we can't kiss him.
That's right.
Right? We can't physically give him high five and all these things. But in order to show him that we love him, we have to do the things that he said to do in these records, right? So then if we have to do the things that he said to do in these records, what he say? Then we have to find out what he say.
Right.
Understand? So that we will know what to do.
Come.
Right? So from there, I want to move on. So you're going to find out what he say, right? Give me before I go to what he say, we're going to 1 John 4 and 6, Babakosha.
1 John chapter 4 and verse 6. We are of the Most High.
Right? So it's saying we are of the Most High, right? Continue.
He that knoweth the Most High He that knoweth the Most High heareth us.
Right? And it's saying, if you know the Most High, right, you will hear this truth.
Right.
You will understand this truth. Right? Go ahead.
He that is not of the Most High heareth not us.
Right. So if you're not of the Most High, you will find it hard to understand.
Right.
Right? Go ahead.
Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error.
Right. You understand? So that's how we will know if you're in the spirit of truth or in the spirit of error.
Right.
Because the things that we're telling you, the counsel that they're going to get from the I.S.U.P.K under command in YAHANNA, if you could understand it,
right.
we know you're in the spirit of truth, because
right.
we know you understand what's going on, you understand the things of the Most High. But if you refuse it, then you're in the spirit of error. Right? Continue.
Verse 7, beloved, let us love one another.
So it's saying, let we do what?
Love one another.
So these are the things the Most High is saying we should do, right? We should love one another. Remember, we start off, right? And I don't forget this, we start off in idol worship.
Right.
Right? And we say that idol worship and religion move away from the fear of the Most High. Right? And the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. Right? And the fear of the Most High is the beginning of love.
Right.
Right? So we're going to get the wisdom, and we're going to understand what is loving the Most High, right? So it's saying, beloved, let us love one another, right? So this is one of the things the Most High wants you to do. Love one another, right? Continue.
For love is of the Most High.
Right? For love is of the Most High essence, right? That is spirit, right? Continue.
And everyone that loveth is born of the Most High and knoweth the Most High.
That's right. So then now everybody, right? Read back the last part again, Baba Kisha. Everyone that is love of the Most High.
Everyone that loveth is born of the Most High.
Right. And we're telling is that once in that spirit, right? We are born of the Most High, because that love is not the earthly love that we know of.
Right.
Not just giving a man, I gave a man money last week, or I give him a piece of bread, or I gave a shirt last week. This love, right, is coming through the fear of the Most High, right? And everyone that love it, everyone that showed this godly type of love, is born of the Most High. You're born of that spirit, right? You have that spirit dwelling in you,
right?
Because that is the example. The Most High setting the example for you to follow, right? So now you having that same spirit, you're following His example, right? Go ahead.
He that loveth not knoweth not the Most High.
But if you love, because the Bible telling you what is love. So what we think is love on the earth, that is not love.
Right.
Right? But it's saying now, the love of the Most High, to love the Most High, you have to do the things He say. Right? And by doing the things He say now, right, is how you're developing that spirit in you.
Right.
Right? But if but he that loveth not, if your love is not at this type of love that the Most High showing here,
right?
Right? You don't love God.
That's right.
Right? And the stipulation is that we love one another. So if I can't love one another, then I don't love God.
Right.
Right? Because so if I don't love my brothers and sisters, right, of this nation, I don't love God. Right? Continue.
Verse
9.
Verse 9. First John 1, 9.
Yeah. First John 1, 9.
7. Verse 7. Check it out. Yeah,
Tuwada.
7.
Yeah.
Right.
You can jump to because you did read 8 already.
All right. So, go to 9 now.
Yeah, jump to 9.
Right, verse 9. The book of First John chapter 4 and verse 9. In this was manifested the love of the Most High power towards us.
Right. So it's going to explain here now how the love of the Most High was manifested unto us, right? Right. So the Most High set the example, right, for us to follow. Right. Continue.
Because that the Most High sent His only begotten Son.
What did the Most High do?
Sent His only begotten Son.
Right. So He sent His only begotten Son, which was Christ, when
into the world, that we might live through Him.
that we go live through them. So we go see he example.
Right.
Where he set on the face of the earth, right? We go see what to do, right? Right? So that's how the Most High manifest his love to we, right? Continue.
Instead, hearing is love.
And he say, well, this is love, go ahead.
Not that we love the Most High, but that He loved us.
That's right. So it reverse. Understand? We didn't choose to love the Most High. He chose to love we first, right? And that is the example he's setting.
Right.
So before we can love we, he loved we.
Right.
And it's the same thing with we. Understand? We had to love one another. I had to love you, and you had to love me. It reversed, right? I'm not waiting for you to come and love me, right? Continue.
And sent his son to be the propitiation for our sins.
Continue.
Right, and so like I said, and even as I mentioned, that was so heavy. What really important is this? When the scripture is showing us that the Most High loved us first.
That's right.
Is that we don't know what is love, and that love must come from the top coming down.
That's right.
So now we must be taught what is love before we can actually, demonstrate that love.
That's right.
So that's a real, important thing to bring.
So what for that? Yeah. Right. Continue.
On verse 12.
11.
Salakia.
Yeah, 11.
The book of 1 John chapter 4 and verse 11. Beloved, if the Most High so loved us, we ought also to love one another.
And this is what comes to, and that is exactly like the point you're bringing the point is that the Most High not asking you to do anything that he didn't set the example for.
Right.
And understand where I'm from? Right? He doing it first.
Right.
And understand where I'm from? And then now, all we have to do is follow. That's all. You understand where I'm from? Right? When he sent Christ didn't come on the earth and say, all right, let it go out and gather back and gather the Israelites, right? And then Peter, you go die on the cross.
Right.
And when we see your pain, we go, no, he didn't do that. He lead by example.
Right.
He went through the pain. So he will see, so the men behind will understand that love now, boy.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? Right? The leaders in the truth, right? And lead by example.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? Right? You don't send somebody in front, right? And you stay behind. You understand where I'm from? They set, so if it's brotherhood, you set the example in brotherhood. If it's discipline, you set the example in discipline. So now the men communication, you set the example in communication. So the men underneath will see exactly wait, this is what I need to be like.
That's right.
You understand? When we work before fathers, they set the example. You understand where I'm from? And even in the mistakes they make, we could learn from it.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? Right? Because not all of we forefathers will get right one time. You understand? But when I sit down and I see the example and the struggles that go through in the scripture, I could learn from it. I could learn from this man's life on the earth. You understand where I'm from? Because he stand faithful and true in the things that the Most High.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? And same thing with Christ. When Christ come on the earth, he stand faithful and true in the things that the Most High.
Right.
Yeah. So what? And he began and he set that example so that we gonna know and understand and see the love of the Most High coming down to me.
Right.
We go understand how to show that love to others. We go understand the brotherhood. We go understand the communication, and we go understand what we ought to do, right? And which is one of the most important things was to love one another. That was the essence you was hitting in this, right? So from there we will jump now to that's not what we'll tell you. Right? We will close up with this one, right? So we jumping back to Mark 12 and verse 30, Baba Kisha.
The book of Mark chapter 12 and verse 30. And thou shalt love the Most High power with all thine heart.
Right? So this is Yahawashi, and Yahawashi will tell them about the great commandments, right? Read back from the top of Bakisha.
The book of Mark chapter 12 and verse 30. For thou shalt love the Most High power with all thy heart,
So you are supposed to love the Most High with all we heart, and
with all thy soul,
and with all we soul,
and with all thy mind,
and with all we mind, right? And with that, that's the end of verse 30, right?
No, let us
Go down again until I finish verse 30, Baba Kusha.
And with all thy strength, this is the first commandment.
Right. So you're making them know this is the first commandment, to love the Most High with all your heart, soul, strength, right? And basically what he's saying here, right, is the same thing that we read in Proverbs. To fear the Most High. Because when you fear the Most High, all the things he said to do, you go do him.
Right.
You go do it. Right? I won't commit adultery. Right? I won't commit abortion. I won't hate my brother. You understand where I come from? Right? I won't see my brother struggling and leave him. You understand where I come from? Right? I will try to do my best. Right? Or at the UPK that they say, make the next man problem yours.
That's right.
You understand where I come from? Right? And you can only do that if you fear the Most High, because no, you're not you will not bring you will not try to bring usury upon him or lies upon him. You understand? Because I afraid what the Father will do me, right? Make him stay on the right path. I'm a guy to stay on the right path. Then you understand where I'm from? So it's like so when it was like how the I.S.U.P.K is, I don't have to wait for a general to be in class for me to be upright.
Right.
And I must want to be upright because I fear the Most High.
Right.
I understand the seriousness of the scripture.
Right.
I understand the pitfalls I could have if I don't adhere to the rules that the Most High laid down upon the face of the earth, right? So you fear the Most High. That's the first part, right? So we're going on to the second part, Baba Kusha.
Verse 51. And the second is like, Salakia, and the second is like, namely this,
right?
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So the second one now equal to the first one, right? And go ahead.
There is none other commandment greater than these.
And he said that no other commandment greater than these.
Right.
Because these two commandments compass everything in the Bible, right? And make it into one.
Right.
You understand where I'm from? And the second is love your neighbor as yourself. The same things I will love, what I want for myself, I must want that for my neighbor too. You understand where I come from? Right? If I want to live in truth, I will tell the truth. You understand? Right? I will carry perfect record of the men that are around me.
Right.
You understand? I will strive to understand them so that we got the best communication we will have. You understand where I'm from? I will try to lead by example. You understand? So that the men will have the proper example set. The example that set down for me from the head. I had a in the scriptures they say I paraphrase it, but you see that the scriptures will be passed on to faithful men.
Right.
That is it. As striving for mastery lawfully. You understand? So that when the men who below me look at me, they will see the perfect example.
Right.
You understand? They will understand that this is not a shortcut. They will understand it's hard work.
Right.
They will understand it's struggle, it's pain. They will understand that it have failures, right? And at times they go fail, and at times they go win.
Right.
You understand? Right? But the whole thing is the brotherhood will grow and it will be strong and it will be in unity.
Right.
Because now we have that spirit that coming down from the head, coming all the way down, straight down to the last man in the bucket.
Right.
You understand? So then now, when there was the chain had no weak link. Because everything coming down the chain strong.
Right.
You understand? You don't have nothing different from what I have.
Right.
You understand? Yes, we might be different in looks and appearances, but we have the same spirit. And that will seal the unity that we should have. Right? And it said there is no other commandment greater than these two. You understand? You fear the Most High, you're going to do everything he say in these scriptures. Right? And if you love your brother, you're going to want the best for him.
Right.
The same thing you want for yourself, you want the best for him.
Right.
You understand? If I want to be in rulership, I must want you to be in rulership. And that's how we go grow. That's how we go be better. Right. And understand where I come from, right? If the Most High say we're priests and kings of the earth, I don't want you to stay a beggar. I want you to be a priest and king on the earth.
Right.
Understand? And that is how we go grow and we go flourish under the Most High. And that is how Salakia, if I'm not mistaken, right? Read where is verse 31? Go down to verse, I will tell you. I feel more we pass it, right? And I feel that I was in First John 4:6, but I will close off there because we have the Black Watch command in YAHANNA, right? But that is how we go grow in perfection, right? If we love one another and if we learn to fear the Most High, right? Because the fear the Most High will keep you upright and loving your brother as we self. In scripture tell you we care, love the Most High and hate your brother, right? And that will make me into a perfect man, right? And an upright man in the sight of the Most High, right? And with that, we go pass the clock over to Priest and Officer Makakobal. Yes,
that's what they do.
For what?
All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under our commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister have an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21 and Malachi chapter 3 verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'aishara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation.
Now, the upcoming Holy Convocation is the Day of Atonement, right? And which will be the 25th of September. That will be Friday, sundown, to Saturday, sundown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remind Akim and Agwaktiam to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, like shirt, like pants, like headband or scarf. And with that, we see Mariam stand and face the east. We say the Lord's prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashamaya, Kwadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakaka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamaya, Natanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawat Yanawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawat Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Banasa one, Abal, Hawaii Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wataparat, Iwalanium, Aman.
In English, what we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day, our daily bread,
daily bread,
and forgive us
our debts,
as we forgive our debtors,
as we forgive our debtors,
and lead us not into
and
temptation,
lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory, forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it. All right, let's give the teacher a one courtesy salute. Amadiam Shabbat, Amadiam, Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shem Salakia, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Brakatah.
How about some of your shakadam?
Yadiam Matah. Let's give the sisters online a one courtesy salute. Amadiam Shabbat, Amadiam, Barak, Yahweh Shemalatan Ba'Shem Yahushai. Yadiam Matah. Class dismissed.